Community, YouTube community, all of our live stream. This is Chris Pettigrew, Kyle Souza, and this is Man vs. Tech.
Yep.
Welcome to Wednesdays. We're having a lot of fun this week. It's been pretty interesting to a lot of new tech out there, a lot of new stuff going on, a lot of fun that's happening out there. Today's topic is content management systems, document management systems. We want to talk a little bit about that. And you know, maybe some different kinds that you can use. What's the purpose of them? How many different versions that you know? What is really a document management system? So what's really a content management system? And all that different stuff. So, you know, so let's just jump right into it. Document management systems. What do you consider a document management system, Kyle?
Yeah. So when I think of document management system, it's something that helps me organize files. Like that's its core functionality. Organize files. They usually grow from there to sharing files. Maybe there may be some process automation built in for things to do with the files. You know, that general term content management system could mean anything from WordPress for managing the content on a website to SharePoint, which is more in line with what we're talking about, to HubSpot, right? And we're not talking about the contact management system or customer management system. And we're not talking about website management systems. Really, it's document management systems. And I think the flagship is SharePoint out there. You have Alfresco is an open source one that we've used in the past, even here. And they're now owned by Highland, and they still have a community edition. But it also goes all the way down to Paperport. I was installing a Brother scanner yesterday, and it said, "Hey, would you like to include the free Paperport document?"
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah, but that one's a document management system that comes with Brother scanners. You know, so there's a wide variety of a big spectrum out there.
Yeah, so you know, at the end of the day, there's the content management systems. People call it CMSs, and then there's DMSs, document management systems. Sometimes they can kind of be a blur between what they really are. I think that content management systems end up being more like HubSpot, Salesforce, maybe even Slack could be considered, you know, a shareable. You're sharing information, but you're also using it as like project management and contacting people. Whereas things like maybe Box or Dropbox, OneDrive, you know, to me, that's a document management system.
Yes.
Windows File Server is very, you know, a document system. So, you know, throughout the years, we've started off with, you know, basically using a Windows file system and sharing that internally through your server, right, to all your users, and people can go to a drive and they can source things by a client or category, subcategories, and organization.
That's all based off folder names.
Right. So I've always called that like e-file cabinet or an electronic file cabinet at the end of the day, which is really just a replication of what we used to do on document management, which was a big drawer, a bunch of folders, tabs, maybe the label on the drawer, and you're replicating that onto something digital so it can be shared. The other, you know, piece that comes out of a document management system is the size of the files. Right. So we know that a lot of the document management systems that are out there, and I'm just going to go to SharePoint real quick. And, you know, not only are you available to share large files, so, you know, we know Gmail's like 25 megabytes is like the biggest email you can send out.
If you're trying to email somebody.
So, you know, and sharing on email can be very bad when it comes down to sharing information because it's only singular to the people, or, well, it could be multiple, but the people in the thread only are the ones who get the information.
Versioning becomes a problem because I send a spreadsheet, then you make a change. Now you send the spreadsheet. Somebody else makes a change, and they send the spreadsheet, but they made a change to my version, not your version. So now
you have 7 versions. Nobody knows which one you're working off of. And we've even had people go through and use certain things like Google Sheets, Microsoft Teams to do some of this stuff. Microsoft OneDrive to share like Excel as being your document management source. What do you think that is the pros and cons to, you know, just using some baseline like Google Sheets and the Excel version?
Yeah, you know, doing something like that, using Google Sheets with Google Drive or OneDrive to host files. It's easy. That's the biggest pro.
Yeah.
It's easy. A lot of times those like Dropbox, all that, they have synchronizers for your desktop, right? Or for your server. So you say stuff like you normally would, it automatically gets uploaded. It's kind of like a backup, but it's also available online.
Right.
But it's easy.
It is. I mean, I use Dropbox quite a bit, and I back up all my personal stuff on there. My computers are backed up on there. I have other backup drive, too much backup. I guess, can you have too much backup?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. With if you've ever had a data loss, you can never have too much backup, right?
Right.
So knowing that it's out there, a lot of these things have been around for quite a long time. I mean, we even have our own cloud file through our system that we've built up, and there's some things that you get by using like SharePoint and some of these more add ones, which is like project management you're able to do through there, conversations, sharing information through the system, which is a little bit bigger than your Dropbox exchanges and sharing files to people at the end of the day.
Like even ours, we can enable messaging and calendar management. One cool thing that you get with the online document management systems is you get collaboration options, right? Where somebody can open up a file, two people can have the same file open at the same time, and they can kind of use some whiteboard functionalities to do markup on it and see each other's markup live.
Yeah. So what do you think the document management systems, what's happened to them since, post-COVID, basically, the work from home situation, the fact that, everybody needs to share across an entire organization, and we're still not really coming into the office, 5 days a week. There's a lot of clients that I know of that are working Tuesdays and Thursdays only, and everybody else is out of the office. So when you don't have an office to go to, you don't have a file cabinet to go to. What do you think the big change has been since our COVID work from home?
I think the biggest thing is that people realized, we need rules. We need some rules for organizing this, because people have just been dumping stuff in here. They're not tagging things appropriately. Like, that's one cool thing you get with a good document management system that you may not have with Google Drive or one of the simpler ones, is that you can do more than just put things in folders, right? You can assign things to people.
Right.
You can start adding notes to it, adding categories to it as a separate attribute beyond just what folder it's in.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, post-COVID 2021, 2022, maybe even this year, people, when COVID really happened, we had the whole work from home going on. And I think there was a big revelation that happened to almost every company out there, unless they already had a great content management system and document management system, was, oh my gosh, how do we share this? How do we get information to people? How do we get it to our work from home people? We were never faced with the fact that we really needed to be able to electronic share information with each other, right? Outside of the server network. And even then, I think people were really looking into even like their server folder structures and going, this is labeled crazy. No one's doing the maintenance on it.
You just put it there and forget about it.
Yeah, like as long as I load it, or maybe there's a Kyle folder and a Chris folder and a Chris 2 folder and a Chris working folder, and you don't know which one to go to if you're not Chris, So this kind of takes me back to when we used to do a ton of paper files. I mean, it was thousands, if not on thousands, that we would actually have someone come in and build file folders.
Yep.
And so in those file folders, it wasn't just taking copies or maybe even original documents and hole punching them and sticking them in there. We had made tabs. The tabs were labeled. The folders were labeled. You could open them up. You could sort through them pretty quickly, even inserting divider pages as we were scanning them. And we were replicating what's in the file into a PDF to have it online, so that we'll just say in the document management server, in the server itself. And, that was a great internal process. But I think the rule that or the lesson I learned from doing that was we had to take that same theory of the people who used to maintain the file cabinets and keep the files clean, right? And start to go, well, how do you use that same knowledge into something digital? So you really don't change up much. I mean, we used to even have sign out logs for the files because we had a lot of problems. People would take the files, they would keep them at their desk. Another person would go looking for it. They didn't know where it was. They would stop working on that file. It's been over at, Jesse's desk the entire time. And so we had to create a sign out. Where does the file go to? So in case I'm looking for the same one, I could go up there. Oh, well, Jesse has it. Go talk to Jesse, get it off their desk. Maybe they forgot to put it back. So signing in, signing out. Same rules kind of apply to a lot of the document management systems. You should, except for the fact that, like you're saying, the document's there, the file is there. I go pull it, it's still there. Right. So we don't got to worry about me removing it from the system and it's not available to other people.
As long as you don't have to download it and then upload again, right? That'd be a bad workflow. But the fact that you're having to collaborate with these online files, naming becomes important.
Naming is huge.
I mean, I download something that I'm not sharing with anybody else. I just might call it, today's file.
Right.
But if I'm sharing it, it needs to be like daily report 2023_05_03.
Yeah.
And maybe even more information than that, because maybe it's a daily report for Kyle's daily report, Chris's daily report. Maybe we need different daily reports.
Well, we talked about last week, I believe, and we'll leave out the names and change the names and places for everybody's safety and security, right? But there's a medical professional, we'll say hospital, right, that implemented some new technology they were thinking, and it was basically taking fax machines and then auto scanning the images that came out so it could be saved.
As it printed the fax, it also scanned it into a PDF.
Right. And the idea, interesting to say the least, but what was the roadblock they ran into?
The file names.
Just naming.
Just named it,
one.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah, nothing.
Or today's date. And that was it, and nobody thought through that. So you have all these hundreds, if not thousands of things going down in one day, and they're all just labeled 5.3. 5.3, 5.3.1, 5.3.2, 5.3.4, 5.3.6, 5.3.7, because that's what the system will do. Or they just name it that one thing, and you cannot save that file because it already exists. Right? So this is not anything new. I don't think that didn't exist before, because I've never been able to save a file, multiple files the same name before.
Nope.
I mean, Windows always tells me you can't do that.
Yep.
So copy of this spreadsheet dated this date, right? And when you save as or whatever it is. I think that's an interesting tale that nobody thought through the naming of the files.
Yeah.
And how you're going to save them and how people are going to access them at the end of the day.
I think in that case in particular, it's the difference between the people making the decisions are up here and the people doing the work are down here, and they were not in the same meeting together.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? The name of the file has always been a big priority when it comes down to document management.
Yeah.
I see people try to fit all 256 characters in a file name. Yeah. And, that's another thing to think about, too, while you're dealing with your document management system. Windows, I believe, will let you do 256 characters, but not all software programs will accept a name of 256. Not all
special
spreadsheets, special characters, certain things that are limited. So you start to move information maybe out of your world into another world, and it cannot accept that file because it's labeled inappropriately or has too many characters, needs to be shaved. Well, what do you shave out of that thing? How do you make it to where it works? And then on top of that, what is the time and effort to go into relabeling all your files to make it work for your system? Yeah. I mean, we walked into a room maybe last year, and they had a whole floor of a giant office building.
Bigger than our office.
Yeah, bigger than our office. And it was, the big, gigantic roll file cabinets. I mean, just to think that you scan all of that, you label it all the certain way for you internally, and then, a year or two down the road, we switch systems, and it can only take 100 characters in all the files.
Yeah.
And then now someone has to sit there and pick and choose what are the 100 characters that are important. So,
but see, that's where our document management system comes in, that it doesn't all have to be in the name.
Right.
If you can assign these other attributes.
Yes. And that was my point was, I think a lot of people put effort into, well, if I name the file all the things that can be named, right? This is Chris Pettigrew, his birthday, his social security number, anything about it that I can search for.
Address.
Right. State, county address. And it's just this gigantic name, right? To tell me what it is. And then, you're doing that because you want to be able to search for the file. Mm-hmm. Well, we are way past file name searching at this point in time.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You get a full text search, Elasticsearch, Luna search. There's different options for it.
And then a lot of systems have an open text search that you can go in there.
Yeah.
And if you use IDP and you're extracting information from your documents, that can be added to the attributes of the file. So a file name literally could just be a numerical number, because the
Good.
document management system has Chris Pettigrew in there, has his mortgage, has what date it's on, has all the detail, maybe even has the extractions by using getting something in the background from IDP and putting it with the document. So the need to go through these gigantic names and have it all there to where you could search it through Windows like you used to before we really got all these systems that are out there is going away. And I really believe that you should just follow that guideline. Don't make your file name some kind of crazy long and dated file name, but that's what used to happen on paper files. You had a little label and you could shove as much as you wanted on that label. And that was all the information that you could put. So while you're looking, oh, there's that one with this and this thing on this date. This must be the thing I'm looking for.
Yeah. No, I do. I get files all the time that are like client name, -project name, -type of file, -date, -revision number.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is taking up 60, 70 characters.
Right.
And yeah, it's useful information, but we're emailing it back and forth. If we had a central repository for it, we wouldn't need to go through all that rigmarole.
Yeah, I think that, you don't have to really either spend a ton of money on a document management system either. You can go full blast and buy into some of these bigger ones that are out there and spend a ton of money and go enterprise wide. And there's a lot of reasons to do that. I'm not going to say not to. It depends on how big your business is or maybe what you're doing with it. Maybe it's personal at the end of the day. And you don't want to spend $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 on a system. Maybe you don't even have that kind of budget for your money. Maybe you're doing just some stuff to help out a school or a project that you're working on that you need to share some information with. So there's a lot of free sources out there. If you get Gmail, you can do Google Drive. I know it comes with like a terabyte or something for free. Maybe it's like 500 megabytes. I can't really remember the exact size. I paid for mine, so I have
somewhere
2-3 terabytes of whatever you can do. And I found myself before I got into this conversation about document management, that I found out that I actually have 5 different document management systems that I end up using throughout my life. One being ours. I also use OneDrive because of my Microsoft 365 account. I don't really use it too much, but I do.
With Windows 11.
G Drive I use, Dropbox I use, and then did I already say ours? Yep. And then sometimes I will use a third situation. Maybe a client has given it to me or somebody's sharing it with me, like Box. File Cabinet's another one. SharePoint's another one. So now I'm at like 7 or 8 in my life that I use. I started thinking, man, I really would like to just scale this down. But honestly, they all serve kind of their own purpose at the end of the day. Some of them are my personal ones. Some of them are actually a mixture between personal and work, and some of them are just work.
Right. And we can't control what other people are using. So if they're using a different system than us, we got to work inside their system.
Absolutely. And I found, working inside certain systems that it's not really too complicated to adapt.
Oh, no.
I don't think I've ever read a user manual for a document management system or a content management system. Maybe that would have been beneficial for me to do something like that, to learn a little bit more about it. I will say that I've YouTubed a lot of how to do certain things and learning a little extra tips and tricks, but I YouTube Excel all the time as well. You may not do that. I do. And
if you're doing extra stuff like setting up SharePoint sites, then you need some tutorials.
Right. So you can find a lot of videos out there. And that's the beauty of sharing of information right now, is there's just so many tutorials. And I know LinkedIn has some training that's out there that you can take. But so many people out there just putting out content and showing you how to use something. I will say this, don't just go by everything that they show you. Sometimes they only create it for specifics that they understand. So be a little bit elastic, understand that you may have a different purpose for these things. Also, what's the other kind of technology that you're using to assist your document management system?
Yeah, that's what there's a lot of the newer document management systems that integrate some sort of automation, whether it be RPA or something else, for, hey, this thing came into this person's email address, but we automatically suck it in, rename it if necessary, put it inside this folder, assign it to this user for review. Upon being approved, it then runs through an IDP program to extract out the invoice information, put that into accounting. There are these steps that you can go through to really automate the process.
Yeah, we've even found some systems working together by using IDP. It starts to actually label all the things inside the document management system for you. adding in more information, making it easier to find certain things, grouping things together. So that way you could find groups of information instead of just a bunch of singular scenarios. So, depending on your document will depend on what kind of source data you want to be able to search by. Do you want everything in a 500-page contract? Probably, maybe not. I would think probably not all the things.
Yeah, you probably don't need all of it.
But there are certain things that, you want to understand, whether you have a contract with money that's owed, timing that needs to be done. You sit down and think about your key factors of how you want to put it in the document management system, how you want to organize certain things. It's really no different than what people used to do with the file cabinets, organizing a file cabinet maybe by a location, a geographic location, or a certain group of people, or a certain thing that you can organize it by. That would be very successful for the 90s way of doing things. I hate to say it's even early 2000s, but
I feel it.
Being organized in that cabinet was a big deal. And I think people also need to do the same thing. So I think post-COVID, people got a real shock of, oh my Lord, what have we done? We haven't maintained our closet, right? And everybody likes to do that. Everybody goes and cleans a room. The room's spotless. Everything's great, but the closet's a mess. And I think that's how a lot of these companies have lived. And they got forced into, a lot of work from home people, a lot of remote workers, contract workers, and then having to share that information because people weren't allowed to come in the office at that point in time. And now even know that people are restricted to come in the office or being told to work from home or work from a remote location.
Yeah, they just want to, and if it's available to you to work, from anywhere, that's a great benefit to be able to go see some family out of town and be able to be connected so you can have that extended stay.
Yeah, everybody welcome to that. I've been doing that my whole life. I can tell you that every vacation I think I've ever taken, I've been available to work, even though I may want to be at the beach. I've been at the beach with my laptop working. I've been at Disney World with my laptop working. Getting a lot of trouble for that, I will say. I haven't my family not too happy about it. They sure are happy about spending my money when it comes down to it. But at the end of the day, the availability of, I guess that's kind of a catch-22. When do you actually get personal time? When do you actually put the thing down, focus on you a little bit, and a little bit of me time. But that's a work-life balance situation. I think that people, you have to decide for yourself. I like to work off and on. I like throughout my day to have work and then not be able to work and then work again and stop for a little while, go focus on some things and then coming back to maybe doing some projects at the nighttime or whatnot, not just being restricted to the old school 9 to 5, idea.
And not to dwell on it too much, but I got to make a decision. Hey, do I want to go somewhere for 3 days, not work, not focus, not deal with any of that stuff, just focus on what I'm doing for this vacation for a couple days? Or do we want to take a 5-day, 7-day, 10-day vacation, but I need to be available to work, but now we have much longer time period? It is about balance, and for some things you need one, some things you need the other.
Yeah, and document management systems, without them, you don't have the ability to share. I mean,
no, you don't.
What if you were a data entry person and you needed 20 files that day to work on, and someone had to email them to you? Or email you a file share link so you can go grab them?
It might be too big to even email. Yeah, it's got to be hosted somewhere. And the days of just accessing an FTP are gone.
Yeah,
it's not. Frankly, it's not good enough anymore.
Well, I guess we kind of skipped over that one. We went from file cabinet right into document management. There was FTP. There was basically the ability to log in somewhere in a file structure and then go get files. Yet most of it wasn't searchable. You had to know how to navigate and know what you're looking for. And that kind of was, I guess I would say, maybe the infancy of document management, the file transfer protocol, right? And so you're able to actually go on there and get those bigger files that you couldn't email, which is very restrictive. If anybody works in data, you can make a pretty big file pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Especially if it's paper, has attachments to it, you're going to blow those
high
up.
DPI.
Yeah. Now you get into some of the newer document management systems. They have a lot of cool things installed. Automatic signatures are starting to be built into them. Emailing, conversation, team project leads. You can pretty much do almost anything. So from loading a document into a document management system to sending it out to get signed by somebody, having it retrieved and saved all in the one source situation. Again, post-COVID situations, a lot of people not wanting to be in person, digital signatures being accepted in a legal system where they weren't really accepted before. And I think that's a big transition. It always comes down to what is accepted in the legal system, that I start to see the humps being over, the roadblocks being broke down.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started scanning documents, for me, it was about 03, 04. We were doing some big projects, and I actually had people like laugh at us and say, this is dumb. I mean, why would you want to do this? And at the time, it was all about backing up something and having a copy of something, and then being able to share it across the network to us individually.
Why do I need to scan if I have the original?
Right. And it was just like, oh, this is stupid. And then right around 2012, the court system started kicking out, the lawyers bringing in gigantic boxes for lawsuits and started demanding thumb drives and digital information. It really wasn't at electronic signature stage. I think wet signature was still a pretty big deal. And so that started happening. And then all of a sudden, scanning just became huge. And these document management systems started showing up. When you talk about, what was it, Paperport or paper something?
Yeah.
That was loaded on the scanners even a long time ago. I mean, HP still has one that they want to throw at you. Do you want to install this when you go and start your little home printer?
They do.
Again, you may want to use them. You may not want to use them. I know that the paper port, I think is what it's called. I can't remember. I've seen that for years, probably decades at this point in time. And it's not a bad little system, at the end of the day. But, you got to go out there and shop, look around, use the internet, Google it, Bing it, whatever you're using as your search tool.
Yeah.
Get some free versions. Maybe look and see what works for you. You don't want to overbuy. I don't think you should do that. Everybody has a different purpose for it. So what's needed for a 1,000-person company compared to a 1-person small business, maybe wants to share with their customers. Maybe you're a photographer and you want to deliver everything digitally.
Or you just want to be better organized for when you have to step away and then come back to it.
Yeah.
I mean, how much time is lost when you stop doing something, you go do something else, and you come back and you're like, where was I? What was I thinking? I mean, this can help with that.
Yeah, I think the big takeaways for document management systems and documents itself is still continue to think about organization. Yeah. And if you're not a great organizer, get with somebody who is. Yeah. I think it's a talent, honestly, for people out there who are great organizers and able to put things in certain places. They have a mindset for it.
And software has tried to make organization not be important. I forget what it was, 10 to 15 years ago now, working with the Google Search Appliance, which was a physical piece of hardware, a rack-mounted server that basically gave you the power of Google algorithms for your local network. So, I've always wanted to Google, like, what was that Chinese place in Phoenix? Like, inside my own brain, because, that kind of thing. But it's like that, where you could use Google on your own documents, right? And the Google Search Appliance is no longer a thing, but there are Elasticsearch appliance. Elasticsearch is a thing. But now I'm curious, with the advent of ChatGPT and using GPT as a search engine, so not asking it questions based on its general knowledge, but if you could use it as a search appliance, I think that's going to be the next big advent for document management systems, is incorporation of GPTs.
Yeah,
large language LLMs, large language models.
I completely agree with you. I'm watching more and more. I mean, if you're out there in the community, you're paying attention to LinkedIn, you're paying attention to social media, you're starting to see a lot of people talk about the GPTs, Chat GPT. There's many different kinds right now. But they're integrating them. Bing's integrating it. Microsoft 365 is starting to integrate it into its situation. If you could prompt your system to give you something, now you don't have to be as specific for what you're looking for. Maybe you need to tell it, I'm looking for this, and go find it for me. Internally, using the neural network of the GPT at the end of the day. So I think integrating that into a SharePoint, into some of these document management system, content management system is the next step. Yeah. It's already happening. I came across join the wait list on Power Apps the other day about integrating artificial intelligence and Chat GPT into it. Yeah. What that's going to do, I'm not sure. I'm waiting for the email to play with it and see what it can pull off. So in the last 5 years on our adventure of getting into AI and really what that's doing is, I think you're right. That is the next step for almost all the softwares, but mainly document management systems, is the conversation with the system.
Yes.
And instead of having to know that file name, you could say, I really need to find that that oil and gas lease or that mortgage contract for this street address. And maybe through IDP or information that you gave the system, the chat system can pull that right out for you and give you or here's what I find in your system. Maybe it's multiple ones, and then you can go look at it.
Well, I see it like I was reading yesterday about Zillow. Zillow has now integrated ChatGPT, and you can describe the house that you're looking for. It takes your description and then suggests houses to buy or rent based on it. And I could see that, like, hey, where's the report that has the I don't know, frac pressures for drilling this well in it? And it can go, oh, well, for this well, okay, we need this report. It's got to have this information. Here's the file.
Right.
Like that kind of thing, a real search engine for your documents.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the whole GPT thing. And over the last maybe 2 weeks, we have discovered a ton of people starting to integrate it into things.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're still working through maybe what the downfall of it all is. We won't get into that on this conversation. I think that's probably a great another man versus
it still
tech.
Kind of feels like the 720p to 1080i upgrade. Like, is it really? Like, are you overusing this?
Yeah, there's so many uses for it. I'll tell you that much. And it's very interesting. I was showing it to my daughter the other day. She's in junior high, and I had it write a paper on the Alamo. And I was like, I showed it to her, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy! How did it know all those things?" And she just got done writing her paper, so we didn't cheat. Anyways, I was showing her how a bot did what she did in like 3 or 4 days. And I kind of showed her some other stuff, some mathematical equations, some algebra we were throwing in there for some of her tests, and it was giving some answers. What is that going to do for the future, and how does that end up integrating into anything? That's interesting. You bring up the Zillow part of it. I love looking at real estate. I think there's even an SNL skit out there of like when you get older, you start Zillowing and you're checking out houses. So you go in there and you say, I'm looking for, you can do selectors, but maybe you prompt it for certain things. But now it would be interesting. It's like, how many houses do you get that are, still have old wooden cabinets, or maybe the paint is avocado green, you can stay away from something like that, or has it been remodeled or whatnot. Usually you're looking at pictures for those type of things. So the good part I would say from that would be a more narrowed search as to probably what I like. Yeah. But then at the same time, I guess the negative in my mind would be, what about not seeing things that it only showed me what it thinks that I asked for because of how I prompted it. So we'll get into more ChatGPT prompting. All that stuff is way something for the future, because I think learning prompting is a huge piece, as learning what to search for in document management system. Yeah. Same thing. You can't just go there and say, find file.
Right. Google. How many times, I know I do it every day. I'll Google something, and then I'll look at the results and be like, okay, I need to change what I Googled. Yeah.
Sometimes by location.
Yeah.
I will Google something and best Chinese restaurant, and I get something in New York, near me. And then it's all the Woodlands at the end of the day. But maybe I want to see spring a little bit. Maybe I want to see some Conroe. And it depends on really where you search from at the times too. Like I may be up north and I'm searching up there, and it talks nothing about where I live. It's giving me my location-based situation on what I say. So everything has a little bit more spin to it. You'll find the same thing in your management systems. Get the right training, know how to use them properly. So at the end of the day, Kyle, we always like to ask the question. In this case, we were talking about document management systems, content management systems. Who wins here, man or tech?
Tech. There is no way that a person can be as efficient when it comes to dealing with documents without a document management system.
Yeah, I'm going to lean on tech on this one. Although I have to say that, as with any, artificial intelligence or document or software, it is what you put into it. And the human controls a lot of that. And none of them know how to fix the human problems that they do to systems. So, it could also fail, but you're right. There's no real way to share the abundance of information without these type of systems.
I just think, walking into these large file rooms and a person walking into the file room looking for information versus a person with a good document management system, they're going to find that information faster every single time.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, there's no way I could go in there and roll those file cabinets and walk up and down and hope I find the right thing, compared to having everything organized in a certain way and be able to get that right there from your desktop, right? You're not even having to leave the desk or your laptop or wherever you are. You'd be at a Starbucks at the end of the day, or at the park with the kids. You know, you have that right there available to you when, as the file room, when it require you to have to go into the file room, and hope that was kept up. Lord knows. So today looks like tech wins. It has advanced man into a certain period, but so I say tech as well. So 2 for tech. Tech wins this one. Thank everybody for joining us. If you're joining us live, thanks for checking it out. If you're joining us later on, that's cool too. We know everybody's working and doing a lot of things at 11 a.m. on Wednesday. So check us out on LinkedIn, check us out our YouTube channel. If you want to talk with Kyle and I about any kind of tech, or you want to reach out to us, hit us up on LinkedIn. You can message us up on there. Our email addresses are on there for contact. We love talking to like-minded people. If anybody ever wants to be on the show or promote their product, please reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to talk tech with other people and show maybe what you've been working on.
Yeah.
Right?
That'd be exciting.
All right, cool. So here's another Man versus Tech wrapped up, May 3rd, 2023. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy it.